All right, what's up, guys? We're gonna get started here. If you have any tickers, comments, anything like that, put it in the chat.
Good money's good, Marv. Between your
Let's mute that. Um, okay, so let's take a look at what we've got here. So we can start here with kind of the dashboard, right? Uh, we can see the markets are up a little bit after hours. You can see 1% on NQ, ES 0.76%. Um, So here's what we're seeing. Last week, or well, week before prior, we had a sell-off and saw a move down into minus 2.5 ATR on the daily chart. You're probably wondering, like, if we go over here, this was a sell-off to 1.5 ATR, and then we had a continuation of the same thing, or 2.5, sorry, 2.5 ATR. Then we go to the weekly chart, we had our move to minus 2.5 ATR, which now we're kind of getting a bounce. We didn't see a bounce in here because we weren't at extended levels on the weekly chart. Okay. And we go to the daily, and then we're seeing here where we closed above the 9 EMA. We had this big move up on Wednesday on pretty decent volume. I'm going to switch back here. So we had that move on volume. Now we're moving back, trying to move back to the 21 EMA. So here's the thing. If we take a look, the put call ratio has been pretty consistent as of recently. And something that I noticed on Friday was we had, in the first time, well, this month actually, so we're halfway through the month, the first time since March 25th, we've had bullish readings on, or overly bullish readings on the put call. So what does that mean? Means there was a lot of people that were bullish right here. Okay. Do you see that? Now look at it where it lines up. So all these crosshairs, you see all the crosshairs, how they move across on my screen? Look at this. So put call here was below zero point 0.7. Put call here was below zero point 0.7. That was the last time we had that. Look at where SPY was. And then look at what happened after. Okay. And then obviously it's going to be very similar for QQQ. Put call was above, below zero point 0.7, and then opened up zero point 0.7. And then you can see here we had a sell off. So um, I'm not really rushing to buy into long positions because of that and seeing that. This put call has worked really well. But one other thing we want to note on a longer term basis, you can see the 10 SMA. 10 SMA has now rallied from, notice where we had these highs up here and SPY. Notice where the put call was. It was below zero point 0.7. Then we got really extended into zero point 0.7 or below zero point 0.7, and which is this red line right here. And then we actually topped out. Okay, so you can see here we topped out right in through here, right in through here. And now we're starting to move and we're starting to get above zero point 0.9. But so you can see if we go back in time, the last time we were above zero point 0.9. Why isn't the date ranges matching up? Time maybe? Okay. So I don't know why this isn't syncing up, but okay. So last time we were above 0.9 was right here, and that's where the market bottomed. Okay. So we're well above zero point 0.9 now. So it is possible that we may see some sort of short-term bottom starting to form, just like we saw a short-term bottom here. And well, like if you look here, right in through here, that's where we saw bottom above zero point 0.9. And then where we saw bottom the time before that was above zero point 0.9. So now we're back above zero point 0.9. Maybe we'll see a bottom. Okay. So that's the longer term view, right? So short term, early this week, I'm thinking, okay, we might have some more, a little bit more downside action. I don't know if we'll make a new low, but we have to be aware of this sign here. We don't want to start piling into long-term puts with this in mind because here, the past two times have resulted in longer term bottom points. So this one here and scroll back in time a little bit more. And this one right here. So right here. So these two really key bottoms right here and there have came from the result of being above zero point 0.9 on the 10-day. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Um, and now let's kind of look at some other stuff. So with that in mind, we've wiped out those lows. We've wiped out those lows. Um, and so we may see a bottom here and in the longer term. And that's just based on a reading from the put call ratio. We have made our way back to the monthly 21 EMA on QQQ. We've done so on SPY. We drove through it and we got bought back up. Be interesting to see where this candle closes. Okay. And then we'll go to weekly. So for the weekly, you can see this might just be a pop back up to the 21 EMA, and that might be all it is. But we have to just be cautious. So like getting long tomorrow, I don't think is the best idea, is basically what I'm saying. Today or tomorrow, or sorry, Monday or into Tuesday. I don't know if that's the best idea to get long. But if you're looking for longer term call shares, this might be a pretty good spot to do it based on these put call ratings, and maybe will give you a really good opportunity to catch some of the stocks that are bottoming out. Okay, so from there, let's take a look at the major names. So if we're just looking at the price action here, I think what's happening is we might get a little down move into somewhere in this area here, and then we might continue higher based on that put call ratio. We just have to be aware that the trend is still down. So what would probably be a really ideal scenario? Well, you can see here on this one, we came down, we came up, we failed the 21 EMA. Usually what needs to happen is you need to have like a break above and then this retest to hold. See how the retest holds here? That's a bottoming pattern that is pretty reliable. Here you can see same thing. We had this move down, we got above it, we didn't hold the retest, but then we got back above it, we came back, retested, and held, sorry, not holded, that's not a word. Yeah, so that's what you kind of need to see for when you're looking for a bottoming pattern. And so yeah, that's what we're kind of looking at here. And then from there, the next piece we're looking at uh, is the 21 EMA. So you can see here, we rejected here, we rejected here, we rejected here. So it's going to be pretty critical for us to get above that 21 and hold above it for a longer term trend change. Then you can really start being bullish and looking for more long opportunities and just continuing to try to build a portfolio of longs. So Apple, similar thing here. We wiped out these lows. Now we're getting bought back up. You can see last time we tested the 21, we failed. Time before that, we failed. So just simply looking at price in relation to the 21 EMA makes it very simple. And you can just see each time we get to that, we're kind of failing. All right. NVIDIA, pretty similar story, but we are trying to get it back above it. Now we did that here, we did that here. So it'll be a little more critical to see what happens if we can hold. But a lot of these are kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say Microsoft, but a lot of these are looking like bear flag-ish type patterns across the market. Like that. It's kind of looking like a bear flag. Um, and so we just have to keep an eye on that. So I think a lot of people will probably be seeing this similar pattern of bear flag. So maybe we get a push down and then don't make a new low and get bought back up. So that's kind of what the put call is telling us. And then as for these other stocks here, we can look at longer because they all pretty much look the same, but a lot of them look like, okay, maybe it's time to head back to the 21 EMA. So a lot are kind of looking like that. Um, Tesla, this one was printing a sell signal into Friday. So one to keep an eye on here. I think that you could go short on this one on a break of Friday's low. So like you can look for some selling pressure and a potential entry below the low of Friday. So that might be a pretty solid entry, especially with the put call sitting where it's at. This is where you want to kind of look like, okay, can I get into some short positions? And here would be a pretty good opportunity. It's an A plus short signal. I think here's the last time we had an A plus short signal right through here. So we sold off here from 180 or 190 down into 161. And then here and here. So 207 down into 178 and then 180 down to 110. So and then those ones didn't work out. Those worked out pretty well. So past few times, daily sell signals on Tesla have worked out really well. So keep an eye on this. Maybe something that you want to trade to the upside and or to the downside, looking for a break of the lows, which is right around that 240 area. Here, ABGO, what do we have to say about this one? Nothing too much. This is probably going to pop with, I mean, actually, we can probably look. Usually the quotes open for stocks. I think it's 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, but I'm going to check real quick because news came out from Trump that the that chips, computers, and um, phones are not going to be part of the tariffs. So it's very good for semis. So I would imagine AVGO is probably doing pretty good. Yeah, AVGO, I mean, it moved as high as 188 uh since we opened. But right now it's trading at up $4 at 186. So let's take a look at Nvidia. Nvidia's up 4.5%. How's Apple doing? Apple's up 6.5%. Let's see. Let's see how Tesla's doing. Tesla's up 2.5%. So Apple seems to be outperforming on these. I mean, I would imagine Taiwan Semi is probably doing well too. Taiwan Semi, I'm just looking at these on my phone. Taiwan Semi is up 5%. So Apple and Taiwan Semi, Nvidia all performing well off this news. Okay, so Bitcoin, so nothing too interesting here. We're kind of just consolidating sideways. Uh, right now we're rejecting the 21 EMA, so we need to get back above that in order to even consider going long. So, um, but something that is very high on my radar is if we go look at my watch list, MSTR. So this one is printing buy signals on the weekly time frame. And last time we got weekly buy signals was back in 160, and it traded up into 160 up into 542. So this one is a really good risk to reward entry. You got this double bottom pattern happening. You got high volume on this candle here. So this one looks pretty good to potentially go long. So definitely keep an eye on MSTR. Um, We go to CLH. So this one looks pretty good. I think it's got a few different, it's moving into stage two. And there's a lot of different beverage companies that are setting up. So KO has buy signals, um, and a really nice cup and handle pattern. So that one's one to keep an eye on. Slow mover. ADR is only 2%, but this is a really solid setup. Tap is another one. This one has buy signals as well. Um, and this one's probably the lowest on the list, but CLH is showing clear relative strength. And you can see we're just riding that 9 EMA. We've got 4 hour A plus signals. We've got uh 2 hour, 1 hour, 30 minute. I'm not going to go through them all, but we've got a number of buy signals off of this chart. So this one looks really good going into Monday. Um, I like this one. It's got the buy signals in the entry zone, which we like. And so keep an eye on that one. That's the top, probably the top bullish setup right now. Um, RGC, just keep an eye on this one. This one's been a heavy mover. So it went from 460 or 470 up to $69. So I don't even know. 11 days up 1,500%. And now we've pulled back uh, about 70%. And now we're kind of trading sideways and we're trying to break out. So keep an eye on this one. The best entry was right around here, around 30 on the pivot breakout. But missed this one. Keep an eye on that one. Same thing with this one, MLGO. This one also had a really nice move. So you can see here, we had this big pop up, flagging pattern, and see how we sold off a bit and then popped. Look at this here. We're kind of selling off a bit. So let's see if we can get another pop. So let that one trade a little bit and then look for a pivot or A plus signal to enter off that one. Uh, JNVR. This one is more something that you'd be looking for the pivot breakout, but what you're looking for is you see this tight consolidation pattern, pivot right here, the breakout, and then from a move from $35 into 62. And then PLTR, this one just has been really strong, kind of like MSTR, and really has not done much trading below its 21 EMA. So keep an eye on this one because it's just holding structure really well. And you can see we should be printing, if we can get the momentum shift, we can get a buy signal. You see the last buy signal took us from $30 to 125. So that is like a what is that, 400% return. So keep an eye on that one. Um, yeah, from there, yeah, 318% return. So that's what we'd be looking for is a similar thing here. High volume, buyer candle, strong. So keep an eye on that one. Same thing with MSTR. Great looking chart. Um, yep. Tesla, we talked about this one already. I think that you got that short below the 240-ish level. DJT, keep an eye on this one. This is more definitely more speculative. I think that if we can get a break below, so we had this really, really, really tight inside day here. So you can see the range was from 1920 to 1858, which is, let's see, so 3%. So like less than half of the average true or the ADR that it normally trades at. So I think this one is setting up for a move here. Potentially. Okay, so now that's one to check because he just cut the tariffs. That might be moving here. So let's keep an eye. Check that out. It's up almost 2%. So nothing really to say about that one. This one still remains valid. I think that uh might be a good move to look for a short below um Friday's low, similar to Tesla. I think that's kind of showing this similar setup. Uh Victoria's Secret, this one here, I think is a good looking short. You can see here, we've got this clear downtrend, really strong downtrend. So as long as we can keep this momentum up, we've got the red trend bars. Um, I think that we can continue to sell off here down in 2.5 ATR. We've got the sell signal, we've got another sell signal. I think that this one looks good for a move down um, back into lows. And then we have the all-time lows sitting right here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we made an all-time low move to all-time lows right here. I think that's a pretty good. I think this is one of the better looking shorts out here. Just because the new all-time lows is so close. And for how strong this downtrend has been, I think that that's kind of just screaming like, okay, we're probably going to make a new low. So, um, and then FSLR. So this one, same similar story, really strong downtrend. You know, the more I'm looking at this, the less I like it. You can kind of see the difference. Like, look at this one. Look at this one's downtrend, and then look at Victoria's Secret. See how strong that selling pressure is. That's really strong selling pressure. So like FSLR, not as much. So let's get rid of that. Okay. This one here, ALAB. This was a market leader back in 2024, and it's just really taken a strong down move. So let's see here. So 307% there. Now it is down from the peak. It traded as low as 68% down. So I think that this one might be another short. Similar idea. Look at the price. Price is getting really tight. We're trading sideways. Price is getting really tight. We had this up day, came up to the 21, just like here. We rejected. Up day here. Then we rejected. Okay. So what I would be looking for is we had 21 EMA rejections. Now what I'd be looking for is we have this inside day here and then another pretty much inside day here. So look for a short below the low. And I think this one is a pretty strong short candidate. You might even get a 4-hour sell signal in here soon. Okay. So, yep. And then so that's all I have on my watch list right now. Uh do you guys have anything you want me to take a look at? Otherwise, I'm gonna do run through the scan real quick and see if there's any that I want to look at. Um and then we'll get out here. So performance. This isn't right. Maybe it is. Okay, so 6%. And so what I'm doing right now is looking for stocks that move greater than 6%. Normally I do like 4 or 5, but here's the thing, all these big names are in here, and that's because the market's been so volatile that like everything is moving 5% a day. So let's go 1 month price performance. So let's mark out these leaders here. So momentum leaders, that. Sort ascending. There we go. And then oops, 3%. Yeah. Okay. Now let's go take a look at these real quick. So we talked about this one already. RGC, talked about that one. Same thing with that one. Groupon actually looks good. Looks like it might be breaking out of this longer term base. Key resistance here, I call it 20 bucks. Um, so that one looks pretty good. We've got earnings coming up, so maybe it's going to rally in earnings. Keep an eye on that one. This one here, I think this one needs to maybe trade sideways for a little longer. Wow. Crazy base breakout. Yeah, that one had a crazy move. Nice buy signals right here for a move higher. Missed that one. Probably because it was below 10 bucks. CELH, we talked about that one. ILNQ, that one doesn't look very good. Uh, Neither does that one. Neither does that one. Nope. Nope. This one does have weekly buy signals, so this one's slightly interesting. Finally, we're seeing some buyer volume step in, so you may want to add this one to the watch list. You can see it's starting to have a breakout on volume. Volume's coming in. Looks pretty good. This one, not ready yet. Nope. KC, nope. Nope. PLTR, we had this one on the list. So keep an eye on this one this week. You can see price is getting really tight. So if we do decide to break out to the upside, you can play this inside these inside days. We had a move up, inside day, inside day. So potentially we could get a nice move on this one on a break of essentially 90 bucks. So you can see $90 is that resistance level that we're continuing to reject. So if we break 90, we're going to move back into 98, $100 really quickly. So yeah, I'll probably be looking to take that one tomorrow if the opportunity presents itself. That one doesn't look good. TJTX, that one doesn't look good either. So yeah, some levels to take home and look to potentially trade are PLTR above $90. So keep an eye on that one. We've got uh A Lab below, below the low of Friday, which is below the psych level of 60 bucks. So you can see it just barely closed above $60. So if we can get back below that, that's a good sign. But even better if we break the lows of Friday. DJT, this one here, break the low of Friday. It's already rejecting 19 bucks. So keep an eye on that one. And then that one's a little more sketchy just because, Donald Trump, right? And everything he's been announcing. For MSTR, it's just kind of hard because there's no kind of concise level for the breakout. There's 300, which is a pretty solid level. Just because it's that round whole number. Just keep an eye on it because it does have this weekly buy that you can get a nice entry on the daily and trade the breakout if it can get up there. Uh, And then other than that, none of these other ones really have trigger levels. So, yeah. So, do you guys have questions, charts you want me to take a look at? MSTR already at 309. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah, it's trading at 3010. Uh, yeah, nice move so far. Um, right off that weekly signal. But I mean, if you look at this, it's trading at 310. How big of a deal is that in terms of this weekly chart, right? Like we had weekly buy signals back in here. And that took us up what? 250%. So $10, which is a third, or well, $10 is, I mean, 3%. Yeah, Robinhood's 24 hours. Yep, that's what I'm looking at. Yeah, it's trading at 309.85. Um, so yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, for this to move up $10 is not that big a deal. Because last week it moved 236 all the way up to 304. So it moves. The average weekly range is 21%. So on average, it's going to move, what is that, $60, a little over $60. Um, and on a day-to-day basis, it's going to move 9% a day. And I mean, it's up 3% now. So it hasn't even moved half of what it normally moves in a day. So for just to keep that in mind and keep it in perspective, like ideally, what do you want to see? You want to see this get above the 21 EMA, trade sideways for a little bit, and then tighten up, and then find an entry there. Right now, the weekly, it's like, okay, what are you gonna do? You got a weekly buy signal. You can just buy it and have really wide stops, but that's not my preference. You can buy it and have what, 21% stop, which is right in line with the ADR. But how good is your risk to reward? Like a little better than 2 to 1. I'm looking for closer to 5 to 1. Um, so yeah, just keep an eye on that. See if we can get maybe we get some tightness into this week, and then we can look for a buy signal or breakout. I think a pretty decent level would be the break of this candle's high, so around 320, and then you can use the lows of the week as your stop. So I think that's a pretty valid way to play it. And I may just set an alert there to see what's going on when it gets there. So, um, do you guys have any other questions? Kind of giving you some ones that have set up already, and what you can do to play them. Let's see, what is the high of that candle? 1947. So, yeah. So there you go. Um, and those are kind of the main watch lists. I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth in running the scanner. Uh, so yeah, I see. Yeah, we've had multiple candles where we've hit a low, hit a low, hit a low, and hit a low. Um, in my experience, that's just um, what's the best way to put it? It's just it's a transition period. That's the easiest way to put it. So, like, whether that's a transition period of up or down, you have to look at it in perspective of higher low, higher low, higher low. But then you also have to take into account, like, okay, what is Bitcoin going to do? If Bitcoin doesn't look good, then MSTR is probably not going to push higher. So, why would it be better to enter around 320? Well, because if you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin, we talked about how it needs to get above the 21 EMA. If MSTR is pushing up towards 320, this in theory should be pushing up above the 21 EMA, and maybe this was a liquidity grab and move higher. Um, but to better answer your question, when uh, patterns become better when you seek out shakeouts. And I talked about this a lot in the mentorship. That was one of the criteria that you look for, right? You're looking for some higher lows. You're looking for within a consolidation pattern, you're looking for some higher lows. You're looking for a shakeout. So here's an example of a shakeout right here. Um, I always like to go back to this example. So this one here, this is a really good example of a shakeout just to go higher. So you can see we had here, 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 and then so we had this low and that low was taken out. So that low and that low was taken out by this right here. And it was just a liquidity grab. You can see the buyers that stepped in, and then we came back up, built a higher low, and then we broke out of the flat top. So um, it just kind of depends. So if it does have a shakeout, keep it. So for example, a lot of times what can happen is you get an entry, you take the entry, you'll get stopped out, which is normal. That's part of trading, right? You're probably going to be right less than half of the time if you're trading properly. And then what will happen is, let's say like you like it here, oh, you buy it, oh, you get stopped out. Okay, that's okay. Because if it reclaims it and sets up again, that's just adding fuel to the fire and also adding to the validity of the setup. If they shook people out and then end up making that move, it usually makes for a lot better move, a lot better trade, a lot better setup. That's usually just how it goes. So don't be so it might have a shakeout, it might not, you never know. But depending on the quality of the setup, you don't want to not take a trade just because it hasn't had a shakeout yet. Like in the case of MSTR, okay, I've got my trigger level. If it does break that, then okay, maybe I will take the trade. If it doesn't, if let's say if this was a really good market, like back in here, where we had the buy signals, I'd probably just take it. But this did have pretty much a shakeout. So kind of just depends, right? What kind of market environment you're in. But don't be scared of being shaken out, and then you can just get back in because usually that means it's going to be a better setup. And if you get shaken out once, it really shouldn't matter if you have really sound risk to reward. So, um, yeah. So that's everything that I'm watching. Let's see. Let's see if anything else pops up here. So, price performance 1 month. See anymore. CRVO. I did not trade this one because it's a biotech, but this one does look good. CRVO. So yeah, keep an eye. Oops. So this one's a little weird because it does supposedly have news coming out. So yeah, so this is what they're waiting for on that. So just size appropriately. This could just go right back down as quickly as it went up, but you can see how tight price action's getting. So if we um, break out here, this is a beautiful entry. Okay, like you can go here, stop at the lows, and you've got 2 to 1 there, 5 to 1 here. So definitely want to keep that on the watch list. Add that one in. I didn't I had a ton of family in town this week, so I did not have a chance to look at add to my watch list from what I already had last week. Um, so that's why I'm kind of going through this right now. Uh, and Just adding some of these that I didn't have a chance to look at. And basically, I'm just looking at the outperformers right now. Nothing more than that. So quantum computing stocks are coming up a good bit. So let's take a quick look at those real quick and then we'll be out of here. So um, momentum leaders. So we looked at that one. Okay, that one looks great. So we'll want to keep an eye on this one. It looks like we're having a base breakout on this one. So we'll want to see this pull back a little bit. Look for an entry on that. I don't like whatever I'm seeing right there. I don't like what I'm seeing there. Quantum. This one doesn't look too bad, but it's like, all right, you get in and you get a pop, get out. And or you get your pop, sell half, move your stop to break even, and see if we can get this kind of rip, right? That's all this is. Uh, so that one, this one doesn't look as good, but that was a really clean setup right here. Same thing here, really clean. Not clean here. QBTS, yeah. So yeah, actually that one kind of looks the best. So we'll add that one, QNTM. Okay, so there's kind of the watch list. Those are the things to keep an eye on. So any other questions or are we good to go? So I've given you a few things that are setting up. Um, this one looks pretty good. ADR 21%. So can possibly see a nice move in this one. But all right, guys, thank you guys for coming. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat. And yeah, I'll see you for the markets tomorrow.